You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The ecosystem approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach Show. Today is Martin Luther King Day. And in his famous speech, he said, quote, "I have a dream," and goes on to describe what that dream would look like, which is a better world to live in. His speech was aspirational, but did not say how to create that better world. We're going to talk about how to create a better world, starting with you personally. We'll also talk about why all self-development needs to be do-it-yourself. You know what? Don't miss this. We're married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the ecosystem approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, we both read Martin Luther King's famous speech, and it was pretty inspirational and frankly specific about what life would be like if racism didn't exist. But you had a comment about the biggest difficulty well-meaning people would have trying to bring about his aspirations to our country. Could you share what that difficulty is and why it's important?
Well-meaning people, after hearing that speech, would try and program others to bring about those changes. They would try and cure racism by programming children and adults not to be racist.
Well, and am I correct? After 50 years, that's exactly what people are trying to do.
I figured it out at 60 years.
Is that right?
Yeah,
60 years.
It was
oh my gosh.
1963.
Okay.
So we're in 2023.
Sure.
So that's
You're
literally
right.
60 years.
Okay.
So what's wrong with programming children and adults to believe that we're all equal, that racism is bad?
Okay.
You know, what's wrong with that? Well, and a lot of people are suggesting it should be part of the school curriculum. And oh, by the way, the culture wars, if you peel it apart, it's about who gets to control the programming of our children and our society in general.
That's rather significant in itself.
It is.
Wow.
And we have a better way than programming. And I'll explain to you why that is in the next segment.
Okay.
But here's the problem. We've been taught, let's talk about the problem first, because you can't solve a problem unless you can identify what it is.
Correct. By the way, that's quite profound.
Well, it is profound
because we've been taught through programming to ignore it. That's the best way to deal with the problem.
Well, a lot of times there are knee-jerk or programmed responses that say, well, this is when this happens, it's because of this.
Okay.
And that may not be true at all.
Okay.
So and that's part of the problem. Okay. So here's the one line that I just wanted to write. I wrote it down because it really touches me.
Okay.
He said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of that character. And it just touches me.
Yes.
But again, when we think about this, when we hear that, we go to, well, how do we do that? We go to programming, and that's where you teach, force, influence with repetition, things that you believe over and over again. And we've been taught our life to live and guide ourselves in a way that's basically flawed,
Correct.
which is what we're talking about now, programming.
Correct.
We're going to talk about in this segment, why programming is so difficult, so harsh.
Okay.
It doesn't work.
Okay.
Which is the first reason why we don't believe in programming, because there's only a few people that can really be programmed, and those few people, it's not natural. Programming is not natural to human beings.
Correct.
When we look at the way we're designed, and frankly, this information is available to all of us. The problem is that we've been programmed
to not either listen,
be able to perceive it,
or
Yes.
or pay attention.
Yes.
Right.
So
That's pretty amazing.
It is. We're taught to be mechanics and programmers versus cultivators or nourishing our own personal ecosystem.
Correct.
It sounds kind of obvious when I say to people, you're not designed to be a machine. Most people say, well, no, I'm not a machine. But
they don't see
programming treats you like a machine.
Yes.
Programming says, just put in this program. So this is how programming works. You have a problem, you Google it, how do I have better communication with my spouse? You Google it and they'll say, you should do this, you should this, you should think this way.
That's a formula.
It's a formula, and it's a way of programming you to say, okay, do this, this, this.
Right.
Well, that may not apply to your situation at all.
Okay.
But you're taught to believe that with a formula or recipe, you'll get a good outcome. Here's the other thing, okay? If you focus on goals and objectives, there can be a short-term benefit. The problem that I see is that programming can work in the short term. It's also very expedient.
Okay, but I'm going to say programming in the long term can be deadly.
Well, and in the short term.
Yes.
The people that don't program well get thrown away. If you're one of those who doesn't program well, most people have come to believe, if they're not able to get A's in school and excel in the way our society is framed, then there must be something wrong with them. But I want to tell you right now, if you don't program well, that doesn't mean that you're bad. It means that you're human, and it's actually, you're more natural resisting programming than someone who's able to be programmed and gets the good grades and rises to the top.
Okay.
Because those people, at some point, they start to break down. We're seeing it in our society all over the place.
Yes.
The person who is so-called very, very smart, Elon Musk, he's a great example, I think, in today's world, because he was people thought he was so smart. He created Tesla. He's putting a man on the moon. He's going into outer space. All these big things, and then he takes over Twitter, and his personality is exposed in a way that says he's just kind of a jerk. He's not that smart. He just kind of a jerk. And he doesn't, just because he's good with one thing doesn't mean he's good with another. And you have to kind of question how good he is with those other things.
Correct.
So they break down with age. They create a wake of unhappiness. Program people create a wake of unhappiness for others and other side effects that are unique to that individual. Here's a bold statement. All the world's problems, racism, poverty, depression, suicide, and just plain old unhappiness comes from negative energy.
Do you want to say that one again? It's really important.
Well, we had pulled up this article, and we're going to read excerpts of it. I think I put it over there, and we lost it now. Yes, but the truth is that the overall unhappiness is increasing in the last 10 years.
Right.
They've done studies. They say,
and they actually gave numbers, which really surprised me.
Especially in the United States. That's from programming.
Yeah.
The side effects of programming, which is basically negative energy, are the world's problems today, both individually and collectively. Here's the big thing. And this is a shout out to Martin Luther King. Your essence. So we're advocating, we're going to talk about this in the next segment, but we're advocating, instead of programming people, taking away the negative energy and uncovering who they are authentically.
Well, and one of the things that we understand about that, because we've seen it personally, is when you take away the programming, when you remove it, the the ideas that people come up with are amazing and phenomenal.
That's true. But my point here is that
Okay.
you don't become a racist or
Oh,
or have unconscious racism beliefs or attitudes or behaviors without being programmed.
that is
And
correct.
your essence, we see it very clearly. A person's essence, if you uncover it and it's healthy, it's not naturally racist. It
That's
doesn't.
right.
It's
Oh, that is
it is
yes.
not. Our natural self is not racist. Now, where do we get programmed? Well, religions program, governments program,
Okay.
companies program, and families program. We're getting all this programming about telling us how we should think and believe and feel, when the truth is, if people would just from birth just start uncovering that child, saying, oh, that's negative energy, let's clear that away. Oh, that's negative energy, let's clear that away.
Right.
And pretty soon the kid would start to say, oh, this is who I am. A lot of children have a sense of themselves already,
Right.
but it gets what programmed out of them.
It does.
You know,
Well, and I'm going to jump in, and this is just an example. When a child throws a temper tantrum, but doesn't have the words to communicate why they're throwing a temper tantrum, I will give you 99% of the time that child is being programmed in some way.
or he's connected to negative energy somehow, that if you
Absolutely.
clear away,
Then
it's the best behavior mod that you could possibly do.
absolutely.
Don't timeouts, all those things. The thing to do is start removing the negative energy.
Exactly.
And so here's the other part that I
Okay.
want to get to. I know
All
we're
right.
almost out of time,
We
but
are.
your essence naturally is not racist, but it's also knows who you are, never needs to be motivated, is
Correct.
happy,
Right.
is fulfilled, and it has a drive to be of benefit to others.
Exactly.
All this is natural.
Right.
It's our standard equipment. It just gets programmed out of us.
Right.
And that's part of the problem.
All right, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
The way we've been taught to live our life and guide ourselves is basically flawed and doesn't work. Programming. All the world's problems, racism, poverty, depression, suicide, and just plain old unhappiness comes from a buildup of negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
The side effects of programming, which is negative energy, are the world's problems today, both individually, for you personally just listening, or collectively, if you look at the world in general.
Okay.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to connect and use your essence that's been uncovered, that's healthy, in a way that allows you to be in the world in the best possible way.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about a better plan than programming for self-development. Why is it essential to be a do-it-yourself process? This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about a better plan than programming for self-development, and why it is essential for self-development to be a do-it-yourself process. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, if programming doesn't work, how can we develop ourselves in a better way?
The way that is natural to the way humans are designed.
Okay.
And it sounds so obvious. And the truth is that as intuitives, we can see it, but most scientists can't see it.
Right.
And because science is framed
Yes.
as seeing the human being, the human body, as a bunch of parts.
Yeah.
That when parts and systems, and when a part or system is out of spec, then you fix it, and then everything's okay.
Right.
But the truth is, it's not okay. And I just point to the fact that we have a mental health epidemic in the world right now.
Yeah.
So
and especially in what is it called? teens and
Oh yeah, teen
young,
suicide and
all of it. Yes, young ones.
it seems like it's getting worse and worse. Well, so obviously what we're doing now doesn't work. And we're told to believe that if you want a better life,
Mm-hmm.
you just program yourself, you feel this way, you behave this way, think this way,
Right.
and motivate yourself, have self-discipline, all those things.
That's correct.
And I'm here to say that all those things are natural when you uncover your essence.
Right.
You don't need to be motivated. You are motivated. When you're
Right.
doing who you are authentically, there's no need for any sort of motivation. There's no need for what most people would call self-discipline.
Correct.
You know, there's no need to figure out what your goals are because you just know.
Well,
You go through your life and you're growing and growing. You say, oh, you know, I know what I want to do.
right.
I know who I am.
Right.
I know, if you knew who you were as an adolescent, you wouldn't get in
Oh,
trouble.
yeah.
You'd be doing what you need to
I
do.
would have loved the ecosystem approach when I was
Exactly.
younger. In fact, I have a little tiny story. I won't take
Well,
long.
and we know how you've been.
Yes, we did.
I was the good guy, so you could just figure out what Patricia was.
Well, and here's the major reason. I'm not trying to point fingers, but from almost the time I could remember, I always heard, why aren't you more like your sister? Why don't you have hair like your sister? Why don't you act like your sister? Why can't you be like your sister? And what I heard over and over and over again was I wasn't good enough.
And that's
it was programming.
Yes,
exactly.
that was emotional programming.
Yes.
And
by the way, most people are emotionally programmed.
Yes,
that's that sort of thing.
So the problem with the ecosystem approach, if there's a problem, is because it's complicated, because you have to unlearn the programming.
Yes.
You know, if we took people, if we took babies and started uncovering who they were, so when they were crying out, we would clear it. If they were angry, we would clear it.
Right.
If they were struggling to walk, we would clear the struggle, clear the blocks that are keeping them from walking. Whatever there is, we clear that.
Well, and
it would be profoundly different.
Exactly. But we've been programmed, and especially women have been programmed that you have to do it this way or that way, or you're doing it wrong.
Well, this, you're going to grow up and be just like daddy. You're going to grow up and be just like mommy.
Yes.
You're going to grow up and be an accountant like daddy, or an actress like mommy, or
I can't imagine him being an accountant, and that's what his father wanted him to be.
Yeah. It just, those things, if they happen to be in alignment with who you are authentically,
well,
they can work from time to time,
yes,
but they don't typically work very well.
Right.
And the strength of the ecosystem approach comes from doing it ourselves, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
We've done this work for so many years, and when we were doing individual sessions, people would come to us and they'd want help, but we started to see that there was a motivation. They wanted us to be their friend.
Yes.
They wanted to pay someone to be their friend.
Yes.
They wanted to pay someone to talk to, because
they didn't see it that way.
They didn't see it that way, but because they couldn't talk to them, talk to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I had a therapist. It was a PhD psychologist who would come to me, and we eventually parted ways, but she wanted to come and dump all of her negative energy on top of me.
That's right.
And not clear it away. Just in her mind, she was programmed, to believe that talking about your feelings gets rid of them. And we could see, when you talk about your feelings, you're basically expressing negative energy. Now, it's not black and white. Sometimes if someone doesn't talk about their feelings for 10, 20 years, and all of a sudden they start talking, that can be very cathartic.
Yes.
But a lot of people, if they talk about their feelings over and over and over again, it's not cathartic at all. They're just stuck in a loop.
Correct.
And no negative energy goes anywhere. We remove that negative energy, and that's why the ecosystem approach is so
I'm going to use the word profound.
It's so effective.
Yes.
Here's the why it should be self-developed, DIY. Why self-development should be a do-it-yourself process.
Okay.
If you go to a therapist, a boss, a professional,
Okay.
an expert, a trusted friend, even a parent, typically, and say, what should I do? You're not, you all of a sudden, just the question you're asking, you're asking for information outside of yourself that is already inside of yourself. What you should be asking is, how can I uncover what's inside of me already so I can know what I should do in any particular situation for your life in general? Should I marry this person or not? Should I take this job or this job? All that stuff, the best expert, the best mentor, the best advisor you could ever have is inside of you. It's your essence. But the problem is that your essence out of the box right now, as we go through this cycle, we come into this life with a lot of negative energy attached to us. And we've uncovered that. If you want to learn more about that, go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for our free section. And we have a whole thing about the 80%.
Right.
It's a really important thing about how you come in with this negative energy.
Yes.
But because we see this negative energy, we've been able to help people in ways that are profound, not by getting them to talk about their feelings, but by helping them identify their emotional story and remove the negative energy attached to it.
Yes.
So the problem is that if you don't do it yourself, you've created a frame where you're asking someone else to basically program you.
Well, and the other thing is when you're talking to somebody else about things, what you're doing is you're actually giving up your power to them.
Yes.
And that would be great, except
because you're giving up your power because there's an implied
they know better
request
than me. Yes.
That says, oh, you tell me, instead of me searching on my own.
That's correct.
Program people are gullible and open to all sorts of gaslighting and misinformation.
Correct.
They're also prone to mental health challenges. So if we've been programmed all this time, it's a difficult shift to go say, okay, I'm not going to go to you and ask for help, because even though that's how I've been trained, I'm going to start looking inside myself. And we're programmed to believe that unless we get an answer like that,
right,
then it's not working, or this isn't going to work for me, or I've been too programmed. And frankly, we have people that will come to us and say, will try and discredit us.
Oh yeah.
And try and say this can't work. I don't know what you're talking about, but it can't be right. And that's because they've been so programmed to believe that there's any other way.
That's correct.
And people who are so programmed can't see that programming is the problem, because
in the first place,
because they've developed an innate loyalty to that.
Yes.
So you have to be self-improvement at some point has to be a do-it-yourself process.
That's right.
Now, I have to admit, I know we're running out of time again. We've helped each other all these years.
We have.
And it's nice to have a sounding board, but there's a difference between going to someone and asking, what should I do, or what's going on here, or some frame where you elevate them and ask for help.
Correct.
And a partnership.
Then the difference is, what you're saying, a partnership where both parties do clearing and both parties have an understanding of what that other person needs.
And I haven't said this to you, but she has an innate desire to do it herself. And if I try and help her too much, she basically, get away, and we help each other all the time.
We do.
But it's usually to help see, and then we go back on our own and
exactly
and clear away what we need to see.
Exactly. So are we ready for key points, Jason?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
When others help you develop self or create improvement, there's a huge risk of programming and control. Right. That's not good for you.
Right.
When getting professional help, it's easy to fall into the trap of being programmed as opposed to creating your own free will, which is what should happen. And self-improvement and DIY is a struggle, but pays off in significant benefits that last forever.
Correct.
The ecosystem approach is designed to teach you the ultimate DIY evolution and self-development.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to implement the ecosystem approach in daily life and the challenges it creates because you are already programmed. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to implement the ecosystem approach in daily life and the challenges it creates because you are already programmed. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the ecosystem approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Okay, Jason, give us some ideas about problems implementing the ecosystem approach on a daily basis.
First, people come to us and they want a formula.
Mm-hmm.
And by definition, the ecosystem approach is not a formula.
Yes.
They want to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They want universal solutions.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go back to their emotional story, which is foundational for the ecosystem approach.
Correct.
They don't want to spend time uncovering pieces of that story, and they want to have others tell them about what they're doing and get
Correct.
validation and encouragement.
Yes.
A lot of our clients have gone to other people and say, well, this is what I'm doing. And they don't get validation or encouragement. Like if you went to your friends and said, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, most of your friends would be supportive.
Correct.
And, unless you were doing something crazy, like, trying to lose 50 pounds in 5 days or something. But it just, you get a lot of validation and encouragement. When you're doing the ecosystem approach, it's very quiet. It's very internal.
Yes.
Other people don't necessarily understand, and it's a whole different approach because everybody's telling you to be disciplined, to focus on your goals,
right.
Put out all the distractions.
Correct.
And just focus on what you're supposed to do. And that is so contrary to how we do this.
Well, and I just want to say, I was very quiet about it when I first started out. And I remember going to a family occasion. My family has a lot of them, well, before COVID anyway. But anyway, I remember walking through the door and several people, not just one, but several people came up to me and said, I have no idea what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, you look amazing. Yeah. And that was a really big deal. Yeah. Now, I wasn't expecting any validation, but the point is that because of the quietness and removing negative energy, they were starting to see the true me. And that was pretty amazing to me.
So this is how you do it.
Okay.
And we're not giving you all the details.
Mm-hmm.
Though, and if you want to go back to listen to some of our shows, that's where they are.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be, we're very soon, we're creating a subscription service that will give you the support without taking over, without being the expert.
Right.
It's to help you go through this process and have someone there to say, okay, maybe you need to look at this, or maybe you need to look at
Correct.
this, or this isn't right. Most people need for support is because they're trying to apply a programming frame to what we're doing, and that's where the problems are. But so if you have a problem, let's say it's with your boss, your spouse, your children.
Okay.
You identify the problem and clear it.
Yes.
It's almost too easy.
Yes.
Instead of Googling something, what do I do to get my kid to talk to me? We wouldn't do that at all. We would say, okay, clear whatever their blocks are to communication.
And clear the negative energy that has built up between you and that child.
Yes.
So.
And, it's the more you do that, the more you see. And what we teach you is the way you start with the ecosystem approach is start with your own emotional story.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you start to understand your own emotional story, when you have problems with the relationships, chances are those other problems with relationships have to do with your emotional story.
Correct.
They're not one size fits all. It's not a process, a formula. It's none of that.
Correct.
So If you were to start with a child, a newborn baby, the child cries in the middle of the night, clear it. The child has a temper tantrum like we were talking about,
Okay.
clear the anger.
Right.
If the child
And fear, yes.
yes, if the child is having some sort of other problem, a rash or whatever, change the problem to a metaphor and remove it.
Correct.
So, and I put this here just to give people an idea. So if you're doing this, first you start with your emotional story.
Correct.
If you have a problem with relationships, clear your feelings, the numb, the anger, the resentful, the frustration, the hopelessness. If you clear that first, then you allow the changes to happen naturally.
Correct.
And then you just start listening to what should happen. The problem is that because
Listening
of programming,
from within.
well, from within,
That's correct.
we want an instant solution.
Yes.
Because with a program, it says do this, this, and this, and you get this.
Right.
And we're programmed to believe that these solutions should be instantaneous. But if you see yourself as an ecosystem doesn't come into balance just like that.
Not at all. In fact, that ecosystem didn't get out of balance just like that.
Exactly.
So you have to take that into account.
You really do. And if you
Yes.
see it more, it's a more gentle process, and you take that. So health, convert symptoms to metaphors and clear those.
Correct.
Money, job, career, clear the blocks to what you want.
Correct.
Start identifying what your emotional story is and why that's a problem with money, job, career.
Correct.
Well-being, just clear the negative feelings, sadness, hurt, unworthiness.
Correct.
And start to see who you are authentically. And well-being is a natural result of seeing who you are authentically and letting that come forward.
Correct.
So I just wanted to give a little plug. We're creating a subscription service. One of the problems that we always had, we had people come to us and we'd charge them on an hourly basis, and we'd help them remove negative energy. And we're not taking on new clients anymore. We have a core of people that we've started with, and we're staying with them. And but it's because they continually are working on being better.
Correct.
If they work with us and they wanted just a friend to talk to, if they just wanted someone to keep them company, any of those things, there's nothing wrong with those per se. But what we want to do is help people do that so they can have that on their own without paying someone to do it.
Correct.
We're creating this subscription service so that people can, it's affordable to everyone, $20 a month.
Yes.
And you can have the support there when you need it. You can ask a question when you need to.
Right.
You can
And you'll get an
access
answer.
us. Yeah. You can ask a question for us. You can see how other people are struggling with it. You can make some friends with people that are like-minded.
Yes.
We're really looking forward to that. So stay tuned. And if you want to know when that happens, make sure you're signed up for our free section.
Right, because that's one of the best ways to be notified.
That is, and that's theecosystemapproach.org. It's all one word.
Yes.
I'm going there, sign up for our free section. The way to start doing the ecosystem approach is just doing the clearings every week, listening to the show every week. We talk about how to apply an energy approach to your life in a way that you haven't before.
Yes.
And then start clearing. And you don't have to have a plan. You don't have to have a goal. You don't have to have a deadline, any of that. Just start clearing and see what happens.
Well, and one of the best things that I know that I did was I started removing negative energy every day, and it made my day. Meaning I had strength and stamina. I saw places I was giving up my power to. I saw people and their motives and so forth. And I figured it out. I didn't have to buy into it.
Yeah.
And it's made a huge difference. It's pretty darn cool if you ask me. So where are we at, Jason?
Key points. Let's
All right, Jason, what are the key points?
It's a real struggle to unlearn programming because it's invisible frame. It affects everything we do.
Yes.
The ecosystem approach would be easy if you started as a baby, started uncovering who they were by removing negative energy.
Correct.
When you have a problem, determine the energy that's blocking you and remove it using the ecosystem approach. It's almost too simple. And the subscription service is coming soon, which will give you support without being alone in the process, but it puts the responsibility on the individual, not on us to do something for you, but for you to do it for yourself.
Okay, so Jason, let's talk about how to do the clearing or removing negative energy, and take it from there.
It's very simple. You don't have to have any sort of posture. You can stand, sit, walk, lay down, any position. Hopefully, it's a little bit comfortable. A lot of times we do two things at once. You will be clearing while doing dishes, while we're walking in
Oh,
the morning,
absolutely,
taking our
yes.
dogs for a walk, all those
Yes,
things.
right.
The dogs love to when we do clearing because they
But
can feel it.
They can feel it, and they'll crawl up on our lap and just settle down.
It's so amazing. There's so many people that we've worked with. Their animals will crawl up in their lap when we're clearing them, even if
Exactly.
they're
Yes,
across the world or across the country. So,
exactly.
and so when we say and to eliminate in your mind's eye, just gather up in your body, blow it into that processor. I know Jacob's putting the processor up, and that the negative energy goes in the top, it gets processed, and then it comes out neutral. It's really that simple.
Well, and the other,
And breathing harder doesn't
yes,
move more
exactly.
negative energy.
And the other thing about that is that you're not only helping yourself, but you're also helping the environment and where you are in that moment. It's pretty interesting if you ask me. So after that, we're going to call in life force energy. Life force energy is the most powerful energy that any of us has access to, and we're going to use that to, of course, remove some more negative energy. But this life force energy starts, the best way to start it is to know that it's going to help your physical body. And most people struggle with some sort of physical something.
Mhm.
So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to help you start removing the negative energy so you develop yourself in a do-it-yourself way, and evolve to be the ecosystem you were meant to be. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you start to remove the negative energy so you develop yourself in a do-it-yourself way and evolve to be the ecosystem you are meant to be. I want everyone to stop and think about that for just a moment. Oh, I was meant to be something? Yes, you were. Everyone was, or is, I should say it that
That's
way.
what we named it the ecosystem approach, because
Yes.
it's a little vague. People don't understand it out
Right,
of the
right.
But we're ecosystems. We're not machines.
Yes,
And
exactly.
our essence, that intangible part of us,
Mhm.
is a real thing. It has real power,
Right.
and it's been denied. It's not part of
It's
most
been
people.
blocked.
Yeah,
That's
most
correct.
people's consideration when they heal themselves or do whatever.
Yes. So, Jason, take it away.
Here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barriers so I can see that everyone should be trained in a DIY, do it yourself, for their own self-development and learning.
So, nice and easy. Take a breath and blow out those barriers, and make sure you put those barriers in that processor. That processor is very important because you don't want to get up. You've done all this work. You don't want to get up and walk right back into that negative energy. Put it someplace, contain it.
Yes.
That's the thing to do. And then moving right along, and to eliminate the barriers so I can see that programming has short and long-term side effects. And by the way, they don't serve you or me. Take a breath and throw that stuff away. You don't need it.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions. I'm going to make one up here because
Okay.
you just said it. On the veils and illusions, so I can see that we've been programmed to ignore and not see those short and long-term side effects.
Exactly.
Take a breath.
Throw it away. And to eliminate the intense feelings of worry, anxiety, and stress that I have that need to be removed. Excellent. Nice and easy. Take a breath. And by the way, you can take the worry, do some removing. Take the anxiety, do some removing. You don't have to do everything all at once and overwhelm yourself. So, Jason?
And to eliminate any feelings of fear, hurt, and shame I have about my life that comes from negative programming.
Yes. Take
a breath.
And blow it out. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that all the programming in the world has side effects of too much negative energy. Take a breath.
and to eliminate the barrier so I can see that negative energy is created when you're programmed in a way that is contrary to the way of your authentic self.
That's huge. Take a breath and blow it out. And to eliminate any feelings of fear and terror that I have, that uncovering my real self will be a disappointment. From my own personal experience, no, it won't. You will be so surprised at what you see, and you'll love it.
It's almost instinctively impossible to not like who you are authentically.
Exactly. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that being programmed all your life dumbs you down and keeps you from being free or having free will.
Nice.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate any resentment that I have, that being taught that programming is the way, and then finding out it's not natural. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any resistance I have to seeing that removing bad energy is better than programming, because I'm programmed to believe that creating goals using self-discipline and focus and determination is the only way.
There you go.
No, it's not.
It's not. Take a breath. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see, uncovering my essence, my authentic self doesn't need discipline or determination or motivation, because it already exists within my essence. That's huge, everybody. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that using my essence, the natural way, is better than programming myself.
Take a breath. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that my primary purpose is to express my authentic self in the world. Take a breath and blow it out.
And one more.
Okay.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that using the ecosystem approach doesn't make me look like a crazy person, strange. I don't have to color my hair blue. I can do anything I want, and it's all internal. So it's private. It doesn't, you don't have to make a spectacle of yourself at all.
Take a breath and blow it out. Let's activate some life force.
Yes.
What do you say? Here we go. Follow me. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy, have clarity, awareness, and objectivity, but also know that using the ecosystem approach is the best beginning I've ever had in my life for my life to be better and not be a machine to everything. Take a nice breath. You're going to pull in that life force energy. Let it go all the way to your tips of your toes. Stop it right there. Ask it right now to help you remove negative energy that's blocking you from being who you are. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to activate life force so I can have hope to run my life from my essence, my authentic self, not from some programmed version of myself.
Correct. Nice and easy. Pull it in. Stop it at the tips, turn it around, and throw it away. Okay. And to activate life force so I can trust that removing negative energy reveals natural abilities that have been suppressed. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on removing the bad energy so I can restore my natural, unique human abilities.
Take a breath, pull it in, and blow all that negative energy out. All those toxins from all of this programming out. And the last one, and to activate life force. So one more time, I can be happy and creative and be able to do healing of myself, have that objectivity to see what I need and what I don't need, have clarity about who I am, and also learn to love myself and love others in a way that you've never known before. Take a breath, pull it in, turn it around, and blow it out. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
This is a big show. Pharmaceutical side effects and what to do.
Okay.
You know, it's really not it's not known. You know, I think the medical profession says, you know, when you have a drug there's always side effects. It's programmed into us. It's just natural.
Okay.
You know, it's not natural.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about where those side effects come from,
Oh, yeah.
what you can
Good
do
one.
personally
Good one.
to
Oh, yeah.
remove those side effects,
Yes.
and that you don't have to be a victim to those side effects.
Correct.
It's just you can have power over them. It's going to be an amazing show.
Oh, yeah.
You can't miss this one.
I'm looking forward to that.
You know,
one.
and so we're also going to talk about some of the difficulty with natural, alternative medicine protocols
Correct.
that may be uncomfortable.
Okay.
You know, if you're having a healing crisis, that's a common term. If it's really uncomfortable, what do you do about that?
Right.
We're going to talk about that. It's gonna make you think.
Okay.
So, did today's show kind of touch you in some way? Did you get that little buzz in the back of your neck, or that feeling, that little butterflies in your stomach?
Okay.
That said, oh my gosh, this is what I need.
Well,
I want to be able to have my own mental health by doing it myself, as opposed to going to someone.
Yes. And Jason, how can I make the ecosystem a bigger part of my life? How can I take the next steps?
It's very simple. Listen to the show every week.
Okay.
Go to our website right now, sign up for our free section, theecosystemapproach.org.
Okay.
And do our clearings every week.
Yes.
Do the clearings we do on every show.
Yes.
And then we have them written out for you, so you can do them in between.
Correct.
And then go to our Facebook page.
There you go.
Which is at theecosystemapproach.org on Facebook. That's where we have the videos are posted there. While you're there, please like us.
Right.
And, ask any questions if you like.
Sure.
You can do that there.
Suggestions for
Yes,
shows. Sure.
Exactly.
We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.